If you're trying to build muscle and build that strong, lean physique, protein bars can be a hugely convenient tool in your nutrition arsenal. But there are tons of options on the market. So how do you choose ones that actually support your training goals as well as your values? Today, I'm talking with two athletes who turned their quest for better nutrition, a better protein bar, into a business. You'll discover the science behind protein quality and absorption, why thoughtful ingredients and sources matter for performance, and how to evaluate macro ratios to align with your fitness goals. You're going to walk away understanding how to make more informed choices about the protein supplements you use to fuel your training and recovery. Welcome to Wits and Weights, the show that helps you build a strong, healthy physique using evidence, engineering, and efficiency. I'm your host, Philip Pape, and today's going to be a lot of fun because we are discussing protein bars and the supplementation industry. We're talking ingredients, macros, quality, flavor, how to choose all of it. And my guests today are Tony and Lori, the founders of Muscle Up Bars right here in Connecticut. I am a personal consumer of their bars. I just crushed one, a chocolate chip, right before this interview. And I've been a customer since pretty much, I think, the first year they launched. And Tony is a certified financial planner by day. He's a dedicated CrossFit athlete, an Olympic lifter in his free time. And Lori is a doctor of audiology, who's also a certified personal trainer, or was a certified personal trainer, is currently a coach. And together they've created protein bars designed with athletes and lifters in mind that are focused on the optimal macro ratios, I'll say, but also, and maybe more importantly, quality ingredients. And from my personal experience, they're very delicious. And my wife and kids agree as well. So today we're going to get into that. We're going to discuss the science behind effective protein supplements, how to evaluate ingredient quality when you're looking at a label, because this is the bar for people who read labels, and some tips to incorporate convenient foods like protein bars into your diet. Enough talking. Tony, Lori, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right. I hope I got everything right in the intro, but I just want to let people get to know you and really get to the root of the story behind your success and the bar that you create. What made you think way back when we can make a better protein bar? There's just so many on the market, but we can do something different.
Well, I think it all started out of frustration. I'm a little bit picky about what I eat, and I like to read labels, even going back, a number of years. So I couldn't find a bar that I liked because I was reading the labels and I was finding either too much sugar or too many chemicals or a lot of weird ingredients. So, I just knew I had this frustration about finding one that I liked. So I literally one night had a dream that I was making protein bars in my kitchen with the ingredients I had in my pantry: sweet potatoes, protein powder, chocolate chips, almond flour. And I woke up and I said, Lori, I just had a very strange dream. I was making protein bars and I saw all the ingredients. And she said, that's weird.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, I don't know why I'm having this dream, but I couldn't get the idea out of my head. And I literally saw all the ingredients and I saw myself making it. So after about a month of thinking about it, I said, you know what, I'm just going to try this. And I tried the recipe that I dreamt of with the sweet potatoes and the whey powder and the almond flour, and threw some bars together, and they tasted delicious. I brought them to our local CrossFit gym for people to try, and they said, these are great. Where'd you get them? I said, well, I made them at home. And that's really how it started. And I thought, well, if I'm frustrated, other people must be frustrated. And I know I can make a good bar. I made one on first try. Maybe we can turn this into a little business. And we didn't really have any aspirations about becoming a big brand or anything. We just really, I want bars for myself that I was comfortable eating.
Yeah. So I'm curious more about that because I don't know if you're naturally impulsive and just the type of person who just does something, or this was very different for you. Start there, because that's the first question.
I don't know. Am I impulsive? I like to do things. I like to cook, I like to tinker in the kitchen. I like to do projects. I'm a bit of a do-it-yourselfer, and I do like to cook. So I think all that together just spurred me on and gave me the inspiration to give it a try. Why not try it?
So, I mean, sweet potato, we can get into some of the ingredients that are fairly unique and I'll say unusual as far as protein bars go, and some of the things I love about it. What was there like one thing you said, look, no protein bar that I ever eat has this? Was it the taste? Was it the ingredients? Like, what was it for you?
Well, most of the protein bars that were out there, this is great protein. And we'd look at the back and it would really be a candy bar. There would be more sugar than protein. At the time, we were really involved in CrossFit, and sweet potato and protein was just what we ate. So we didn't see any other bars out there that had sweet potato. And we thought, this is a great binder, a great carb. I mean, it's nature's best carbohydrate, I think. So there was nothing like that. And we decided that we wanted to always have at least twice as much protein than sugar. And if there was any sugar, it was going to come from something natural. But yeah, there just wasn't anything out there like that. And bad ingredients, bad taste, a lot of
I don't know if
sugar.
we're trying to be different with the sweet potato. It was just the magic ingredient that allowed us to have some natural sweetness without adding a lot of sugar and without having to use sugar substitutes, without having to use sugar alcohols. A lot of bars have sugar alcohols. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, when we found a manufacturer to make the bars for us, because we couldn't do mass production in our little kitchen, we told them what we wanted, and they came back with us with a recipe that had all kinds of fake sweeteners in it. And we said, "What is this stuff?
Right.
Why is this in here? Do we have to have this?" They said, "No, you don't have to have it. It's just the way we do things
It was,
for everybody else."
yeah.
And we said, Lori kept saying, "Well, take this out, take that out." And we went through probably a dozen different recipes, eliminating
Yeah. Even,
ingredients that the manufacturer wanted us to put in, but we didn't want.
yeah.
And we ended up with something that's just very simple, minimal number of ingredients. It's not super sweet, which I think most consumers are used to. It's just naturally lightly sweet. And that's
Yeah.
what we wanted. It's not a dessert, it's a protein bar.
Oh, yeah, but you can eat this for dessert. Let me tell you. Okay,
I
so
have.
let me give my personal thing, because this is just so the listener knows. I invited Tony and Lori on. I love the protein bars. They always send these really sweet, like, personal notes with their packages. There was actually a little, I don't know if it's a manufacturing defect or somebody had opened the package. It doesn't matter. And they sent me a new box because there was one small bar in there that was a little bit off. And that's like the kind of stuff that good business owners do. But I wanted to bring you on because literally the bar itself is just so tasty. It does have a great sweetness. My kids will say, it tastes like real food. It doesn't taste chemically.
Mhm.
And I'll admit, I have 6 different brands of protein bars in my pantry, and I'm sure a lot of your customers do, because it depends on what you're looking for. Are you trying to get super protein dense, or are you trying to have, very sugary candy bar style?
Dessert.
We do it. Right. But this is the only one that I eat it and I'm like, wow, it's like you just made it in your kitchen. And it reminds me, you talked about the sweet potato. I used to be big into paleo. Now I have a more flexible diet and CrossFit as well. I was in CrossFit.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite recipes was pumpkin pie type custard. We did them in these ramekins, and pumpkin puree was the base. It wasn't the sugary pumpkin pie mix. It was just
Right.
pumpkin puree.
Mhm.
And it's like, my wife makes butternut squash, doesn't have to add much to it, not even add butter. And it just has a great taste. So
Mhm.
I'm just kind of promoting you guys and the bar for making that choice, even if it was unintentional. And why don't more bars have these kinds of ingredients? Is it the taste profile?
know.
Is it cheap?
They didn't
cheaper?
even have
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
They had to order it in for us. Here, this was this manufacturer that all they do was make bars. So
They had never heard of it. They had to source it for us specifically. As far as we know, no one else uses it at this point. I don't know why, because to us, it just seemed to make a lot of sense. I'm always staying on top of what's new in the bar market. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of our competitor bars right here.
Oh, I
I'm
see
always
David
looking
there.
at the
I know you
ingredients
posted
and-
about David. Yeah.
Yeah, and even
Yeah.
today, I mean, these are relatively new to the marketplace. And if you look at the ingredients list, they are loaded with all kinds of different weird sweeteners.
and the artificial colors too, which is just
Yeah.
crazy. You would think with all the talk now about
This one
that.
even has a laxative warning on the back.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
one you want to eat before you work out.
Hey,
Unless you're
what was popular? What was popular when yours came out? It was Quest bars, right? Wasn't
Quest
that
and RX bars.
RX.
RX? And
Yeah.
Quest has definitely gives people some digestive issues.
Right. RX bars were interesting because they didn't have the sugar alcohols, but when you
Right.
looked at the sugar to protein ratio, they have more
Yeah.
sugar than protein.
Yeah, you're right. They call them a protein. That's the other thing is you call it a protein bar. It's got to have at least 10 grams of protein, in my opinion.
Right.
If not
And if
more.
it has more
You're-
sugar
yeah.
than protein, to me, that's a candy bar. It's not a protein bar. So we wanted our ratio to be at least twice as much protein as sugar, and the sugar
Yep.
has to be natural and just a light amount, just to make it a pleasant bar to eat, not a candy bar or dessert.
Yeah, and I would hope, again, those listening, we talk about shifting your diet toward mostly whole foods with some indulgences in there. You generally, in my experience, your sweet tooth gets resensitized when you're eating more fruit and when you're eating more whole foods and sweet potato, like you said. So it actually does taste, to my opinion, rather sweet in a good way, like in a good natural way, or you could eat it for dessert. Just so people know, this one bar, at least what I have of chocolate chips, 230 calories. It's 12 grams of fat, including only 3 grams saturated. It is 22 grams of carbs, and 3 of those are fiber, probably from the sweet potato, and maybe I think you might add some probiotics or something. Something else that has fiber. We can talk about it. And then 7 grams of sugar, but only 4 grams added. So that's mostly from the fruit, right? From the vegetable, from the sweet potato.
Sweet potato and coconut nectar.
And coconut.
Sugars, yeah.
And coconut nectar. Oh, cool. Yes.
Yeah.
I used to drink that stuff. And 15 grams of protein. So that I was teasing everybody. How much protein does it have? So while there are bars that have like a lot more density of protein, I would call this a more balanced, good source of like overall energy. And that's a good thing. I think that's a good thing. So I'm just rambling here, but the 2-to-1 protein to sugar ratio, tell us about that. Was that just your challenging yourself versus what was out there?
I had found a yogurt that was on the market,
Okay.
Siggy's, and they used to promote that. I mean, it was right on top. I think they ended up having to change that. Maybe someone else had, copyrighted that. But it just really made me think that's a good way of doing things. We need to have at least twice as much protein than sugar. If we could have the sugar even lower, we would. But we really hate to change anything because they are super delicious and it is natural sugar.
And when we first made the bar, my number one priority was good ingredients and clean. My priority wasn't a great taste, right? So I said, even if the sugar's low, if it doesn't taste great, I'm going to eat it because it's good and it has good ingredients. Turns out they taste great and they have good ingredients as well. But we were really trying to push the sugar down.
It's a good combo. Yeah.
Yeah. Where I think most bar companies probably design their bars for taste first, because that's how consumers evaluate the bars. If you read a bar review, they're always talking about, oh, this one tastes great. But to me, it's more important, what are the ingredients and what are the macros? It has to taste good.
Yeah.
Right, but it has to have good macros first.
No, they definitely do. I mean, this one here is birthday cake.
Yeah.
Natural.
Why would I want to do all this working out and turn around and eat birthday cake?
What's funny is this one is called cake batter, right? So they go after taste first.
And you know what's sad is I know the difference. I know the difference between those flavors. That's funny.
You talked about really eating whole foods and not having a lot of packaged things, and that was another thing. We both were so busy and on the go. At the time, I was running around seeing clients, coaching at different gyms. And, when you stop somewhere, you're starving because you've been going all day long. What are you going to grab? If you walk in a convenience store, it's going to have all the sugar, alcohols, and all that. So that was another reason. We just needed something that was good if we had to grab and go.
Yeah,
and
100%.
When you're starving, I mean, you're going to grab whatever you can.
and we had young kids and we were taking to sporting events, and the kids, needed something quick, and you don't want to feel guilty as a parent giving your kids something that's not healthy. So we had this as an option for our kids as well. And like you said, kids, it's amazing. Kids love these bars. We have kids
that's true.
2 years old, 3 years old, 5 years old, right? And the parents have to hide the bars from their kids because the kids just love them.
That's true. And my favorite is the chocolate chip, but they're all good. But that's just, I'm a huge chocolate fiend, and just the having it broken up by that occasional chip that surprises you. And you're like, oh, it's so good.
Also kind of took the philosophy, like Ben and Jerry's in regards to texture. We wanted a bar that had texture. So, you've got the cacao nibs, you've got the chunks of chocolate, all that. It's just like a nice little surprise each time you take a bite.
It is. And again, I like, people are probably listening like, wow, you're going to have a whole episode about protein bars. We're going to get into some more of the ingredients and science behind it. But sometimes when you find something that's just unique, the texture is not to be underrated. It's like, how do I describe it? It's got a little bit of, I don't want to say graininess because that sounds bad. It's like almost like cookie dough, a little bit texture, right? Where there's a little bit of roughness in there and it feels good on your tongue, and then it's smooth at the same time. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it sort of melts in your mouth.
It does.
Yes.
Texture is really important when it comes to food. People don't realize, but even when you're eating a meal, texture in a restaurant is very important. You want to get some crispy, some crunchy, some soft, some sprinkles.
The mouthfeel from the fat. Like the fat, I imagine the MCT oil and some of the things in there give it that mouthfeel.
The almond butter,
Are there, like, when we look at some of these separate things, we look at some of these strike me as like back in the day with like keto and paleo. Like when I say MCT oil, for example, is that like bulletproof coffee, right? Which I don't do that anymore, but still. Is it a hangover from that? Yeah. Or is there a benefit?
Because that's when we started. We
Yeah.
really kind of started thinking about everything in 2015, 16.
Hmm.
So that was still really big. So,
Right.
that helped us kind of craft it in the beginning. And then, like I said, we hate to change too much.
Yeah, it's in there. It's going to stay there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the whey protein itself, of course, that's, people are generally thinking protein bar, so what does it have? And it's just whey protein and whey protein concentrate. Is there anything you look for there in terms of sourcing, in terms of like how it's filtered or processed, anything like that?
We work with, again, a co-packer who produces the bar for us, and we do rely on them to make sure they're sourcing good, clean ingredients for us. We wanted, a whey protein bar. A lot of bars will use whey protein, but then supplement with other proteins, egg whites or soy or pea, or to try to get the protein numbers up. But correct me if I'm wrong. I believe whey is a full protein.
It's complete protein. It's the highest quality in terms of like leucine content. Yeah.
Right. So we can maybe on our label boost our protein gram number up by adding some supplemental proteins. But to me, what's the point?
I agree. And the sneakiest one is collagen. When they add
Right.
collagen, I mean, sometimes it's in the form of gelatin, which makes sense. You might even have, I don't know if you have gelatin, but do you have gelatin? No, gelatin. I mean, that I can get as a binding or whatever. But when they just add collagen to get the numbers up, I'm like, oh, collagen's like 2 amino acids,
Right.
So that's good. Okay.
But
So
for skin.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the evidence is still out on whether any of that is actually correlated. I do know collagen is good for joint health and connective tissue, but it's specific type, which if you don't have that type in your bar, it's still not that. It's kind of useless.
Yep.
Going back to the sweet potato, are there specific benefits you like to tout about having that in there, like the fiber or the nutrients or anything like that?
Again, we didn't put the sweet potato in
On purpose?
On purpose because we thought it was.
I know what you mean.
It was in your dream.
It was in my dream, but in doing research, we know that sweet potato is a great carbohydrate. It has some sweetness to it, some sugar, lots of vitamins and minerals. It's just a great overall carb and vegetable to eat. It works really well in our bar. There's really no more science behind it than that.
Yeah, and when I think of potatoes and sweet potatoes, there's the carb source, there's the fiber, and there's also the satiety. So between like the fat and the carbs and the
feel full. Fun fact, I don't like sweet potatoes. So I don't want people to think that the bars even taste like sweet potato.
True, true.
I mean, I've had a few people that say, I can taste that. And I'm thinking, nah, that's psychological. But
and we also go back and forth on should we be promoting the sweet potato or not? Because you have people like Lori who don't like sweet potatoes and say, I don't want that bar because I don't want something that's going to taste like sweet potato.
Interesting.
So it's sort of a catch-22. It's it adds a lot of positives to the bar, but also may turn some people away, which we don't want to do. But again, it doesn't. You can vouch for this. You don't taste.
No, you don't. It's not like the what is it, Lara bars with the dates where you like taste the dates.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you don't like dates, you're not gonna like it. Yeah. No, it's cool. All right. So I know your protein sources or protein types have changed over time. I mean, how does the market drive some of your decisions? I know you mentioned the David bar, maybe you didn't mention it, but it was, you were showing it. I don't know if you like to mention competitors, but everybody knows. And they recently changed, I think they went from some sort of natural to artificial sweetener in there, which again, is part of your overall diet. Like you can have a Diet Coke, you can have this and that, but if you're going to be pounding protein bars a lot, you may want different ingredients, especially when they don't taste great. So how does the market drive these decisions for you?
Yeah, I'm going to be perfectly honest. I mean, for us, we've kind of held, steadfast in trying to stay with the ingredients that we have. The more natural things are, the more expensive they are.
Yeah.
So I think there are companies that say we want to save money and make more, so we're going to use cheaper ingredients. I mean, it's just a fact.
I think rather than reacting to the market, I think we're in a position where we're trying to influence the market, maybe change the market and upend the market and be a little bit of a disruptor in the bar market. I think we've been sort of ahead of the whole Make America Healthy Again movement. I think people are starting to catch up with us. So rather than adjusting to what the market wants, we're trying to educate the market on what they should be eating. So we do funny little posts. We take some shots at the other bars that are out there because we read the ingredients. And unfortunately, we know that a lot of people don't turn the bar over and read what's on the back. They read what's on the front of the label. So we're out there trying to educate the marketplace and drag people along with us. And I think educating a marketplace is difficult and it takes a lot of time, but we're in it for the long haul.
Yeah, I love it. And hopefully this podcast does its tiny piece, Pimple on the Whale, toward doing that. But Yeah, so that's interesting. You mentioned the Maha movement and the politics of it. I just spoke to an alcohol-free lifestyle gentleman, James Swanwick, who'd probably be on the show right after this episode, and he's talking about how alcohol-free is becoming more and more acceptable, right? And I do
It
see
is.
a healthy lifestyle and lifting weights and
Hmm.
quality food. It's great. Like
Yeah,
that's a wonderful move
it
direction that
is.
we're going in.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, we haven't gone alcohol free yet.
Well, just it's what one thing at a time, whatever's important to you. All right. So what's your favorite way to actually incorporate these, either yourself or like your typical customer? I'm sure you post these on stories too, but how do people incorporate them in their diet?
Well, again, when I started doing this, I was working in an office 9 to 5. I'd have lunch at noon. I'd work till 5 ish. Drive an hour home, go to the gym at 6 or 6:30. That's 6 hours since I had anything to eat. And I would always stop. Say, I need something in my stomach before I work out. And I go to the convenience store, the CVS, the gas station, wherever, and try to find something quick to eat. And that's where my frustration just kept building. So for me, I eat one. If I've worked all day on my way to the gym, so I have some energy to work out. Lori might use them a little bit differently.
Yeah. I had one this morning driving to work. I wanted to get there early. I didn't want to spend any time, didn't have a lot of time to make breakfast. So I had one on the way to work. Once I got to work, I was able to make a little more to eat.
She didn't have one for lunch too.
I didn't have one for lunch
Okay.
too. But also for me, a lot of times I will eat half before like a lifting session, kind of halfway through the session, eat the other half, right? To keep myself going. But because they're filling, but when you're lifting heavy, you want that. So
Hmm.
I think people can eat them as a quick, convenient source of energy for working out, but they're also obviously they're protein bars, right?
mhm,
So we're always looking to supplement our protein. We
mhm.
can never get all the protein that we need. So for me, midday snack, if I'm looking for something to grab real quick while I'm working, I'll grab a protein bar because I know I need extra protein because I'm not getting all the protein that I need.
Love it. Okay. Yeah. No, I just want to give people options. I mean, post workout, convenience option. You talked about the convenience store option, mid-afternoon snack. That's my favorite use of it.
Mhm.
It is a dessert. Let me just give it to you guys. A dessert. Now, granted, you could maybe,
People
yeah,
often ask us, can we use this as a meal replacement? A lot of women ask, can we?
Yeah.
This is a
uh,
meal replacement. I always say no. I say eat your meals,
it's
eat
like a
your
third of a
your
meal,
meals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And eat this in between. But I know a lot of
When
women,
they're
people are
busy,
looking to lose weight or
or you're just on the
they're
go
too
with the
busy. Yeah.
kids, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of people aren't going to do what I used to do, where I would just grab a chicken breast, that it would drive me
Mhm.
crazy, put it in a Ziploc, and off I'd go and just munch on my chicken breast. But a lot of people don't want to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
What about adding to recipes? Do you guys, I haven't looked too into it. I'm not a big recipe guy. There's some people, including someone on my team, she's the opposite. She like loves planning her whole week out with like fancy recipes. I have a Ninja Creamy though. I could see potentially adding this somehow, but like maybe as the mix in afterward. But yeah, do you guys do recipes, or people like break these up and put them in
not
something?
necessarily, but
Yeah.
we had someone that took little pieces and put them in her oven and turned them into little cookies. Just kind of melted them a
Oh,
little bit.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
But we
Oh,
have
because people used to do that with Quest bars because they turned into cardboard and you have to stick them in the microwave. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if I've actually ever eaten a Quest bar. I was too afraid after reading the label.
It's yeah. I used to eat them just like you didn't have a lot of options back then.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Not.
now
Yeah.
we've got options. So you guys are obviously you have day jobs and this is not the only thing you do. How does that work? Just give us a peek into your life.
How does it work? It's pretty difficult.
Okay.
We're up early in the morning writing notes and fulfilling orders. We're up late at night preparing for orders for the next day. I was out at lunchtime restocking our inventory. So it's wherever we can squeeze in. It started off as sort of a weekend side gig, but it's almost become a second job. Yeah, so we definitely have to squeeze it in where we can. I work from home, so I have a little bit more flexibility,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
yeah, we're at the
Making it work.
making it work. Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope people listening like try these out. Like just buy a few boxes, try them out because you won't be disappointed. Get you some new clients. What was I going to ask about that? Okay,
I
let's
have
just move
some
on.
interesting statistics if you're interested. I've been doing some research. We're
Please do.
actually looking at bringing on some investors, so I'm putting some decks together. What's interesting about our bar is that if you come back for a second order, means you liked the first order, You come back for a second order, the average person buys 9 times.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome. They
Which
do that on
in
like a
the industry, the
subscription.
average person
Yeah.
buys 3 times because they just get sick of the bars.
Nice.
Right? So
That's
we have
huge.
a very high return customer rate. Our retention rate is super. We have a subscription program. We have a lot of clients on subscription where they give us a box or 2 or 3 automatically every month.
Mhm.
That's a great piece of business for us and really convenient for the consumers.
So with the investors, are you looking to scale or go to physical locations, things like that?
We're looking to scale. I mean, we sell bars all over the country. We've hit every one of the 50 states, and we've also hit Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico, just last week.
Yeah, and Hawaii is kind of one of the 50 states.
Yeah.
We don't ship outside of the United States at this point because of
Sorry,
just
friends
cost.
in
The bars are
Australia.
heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to get them.
We have people asking from Canada all the time. Can we get them in Canada? We have people from Europe asking if they can get them in Europe. So we haven't gone that route yet, but we're looking to scale the business. The thing about the protein bar business is it's really a volume business. There's not a lot of profit. There's not a lot of margin in the bars. People are very price sensitive. So we have to keep our prices as competitive as possible. And the only way to make, a real living off of this is to scale and drive your unit cost down. So that's our next move, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know how price sensitive I am. I definitely shop around for a lot of things, but I will say this is one of those that I've subscribed to, and I honestly didn't care what the price was because I love them so much, right? Like, so that's a great product to have.
Yeah.
Seriously, because there are some things I'm like, do I still need this? Oh, and the price just went up again. Yeah, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, but what's like the biggest complaint you get even today that maybe you're working on? What keeps you up at night that you're trying to improve?
Complaint from
Customers or customers.
We don't get them.
Any complaint.
Okay,
Every once in a
I'll take
while-
that.
Every once in a while, like you said earlier, maybe if someone gets a bar where the wrapper is open, so the bar dried out, that's a manufacturing thing or a wrapper. So we'll replace the bars. Someone had got a half a bar for some reason on their box recently, so we sent them a new box of bars. No one ever complains about the taste, the service, the delivery.
It's very rare.
Yeah.
I think we could, since 2016, we definitely could count on just one hand how many low star reviews we've gotten. And when we get them, we actually put them on our Instagram because we want to be very transparent, but it's almost kind of funny.
Once someone said, "Oh, these bars don't taste good," so we posted that, and someone said, "Well, I'll take them if she doesn't want them." I love them.
That's great.
Yeah, so we really is remarkable.
People want more flavors. We have 2 flavors right now. We have the peanut butter and we have the chocolate chip.
Yeah, so more requests than complaints.
Yeah, looking for different flavors. People want us to make something that's dairy free.
Oh yeah, okay.
Which
Probably fruity too, right? They want something fruity. I know some people love the fruit.
Something fruity.
Yeah.
Sometimes someone will say, "Oh, the bar has too many calories." Well,
I know. So
actually, you know what? That is an interesting one. Let's hit on that just real quickly because I suspect it's the fat that's giving the most calorie impact, right? Because fat's so dense. Is that something you've thought about of stripping that back and have a lower fat, higher protein carb version? No.
We're happy with the balanced macros, and if you don't like a balanced macro bar, there are other bars that you can purchase.
Or you can do like me and have half.
Or half,
fold it, have the other half later.
And you know what? 200 calories is only 10% of your day. So guess what, folks? You get the rest of the day to choose what you want. It's not that hard.
It's kind of like you're only eating it at home because of the convenience. Hopefully you are eating real foods the rest of the day. So and you're going to feel nice and full. So.
Yeah, I like it for that reason. I will say that of all the years now that I've had protein bars, protein powders, things like that, unless you're going to go with a whey protein powder, which is pretty efficient, you're not trying to get a bar to give you all your protein. It's I need protein and, I need to get a lot of it every day. So why not have something that has more protein than other things? And it happens to be great in all these other ways. I mean, that's kind of my logic on it.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So, I asked you that one. All right. And we talked about the consumer awareness about ingredient quality. I mean, how do you think that's going to, I know you're trying to inform the market, but then you're also trying to meet the market where it's evolving. What are the top 2 or 3 things? Are they related to specific ingredients? Like when people got upset about red dyes for a while, and of course seed oils has always been a villain and things like that. Is it that, or is it more just general,
Well, we've never had any of those things in our products, so we never had to worry about those things. But as those become more prevalent in the news, then we'll promote those as well. So we did a post recently about the birthday cake bar that had all the different red dyes and so forth in it. We do post about sugar alcohols all the time. So, the market is evolving, and I think they're catching up with us, and we're trying to educate them at the same time. So,
yeah, I'm just curious. It's fine. Yeah, I ask lots of questions, guys, so don't, you know what I mean? I'm just very curious. So, all right, it sounds like, it started with a dream, which I love. I like when I said impulsive, I meant that almost as a compliment, because I tend to empathize with that idea of the more you do, the more you hustle, the more movement you make in your life, the more serendipity finds you, and you're not going to know until you put yourself out there. So is there something along the way you've tried and didn't work out regarding either the bar specifically or just business in general?
Yeah. So we did try to cater to the non-dairy folks and used collagen. We actually had a double chocolate espresso bar. Delicious, but you either loved it or hated it. So it was our least sold. We still have people that'll ask, are you going to bring that back? But perhaps if we had made it not double chocolate espresso, because it had espresso beans in it. Like, it was delicious. So again, that texture, that
I love
crunch.
chocolate covered espresso beans, and at the time,
Oh yeah, like the actual bean that's crunchy and everything. Yeah.
so
That
we
is
actually
good.
had those in the bar. So, I guess that was catering to a certain taste bud.
Yeah.
Plus, collagen is very difficult to work with. As you know, it's sort of gluey.
Yeah, for sure.
It's hard to get the right texture for us. We worked really hard on getting the right texture. I thought we had it, we hit it pretty well, but it was still a little gluey. So
It is.
we had that bar for like a year or a year and a half, and we had to discontinue
Maybe
it because
2
it
years.
just wasn't selling fast enough.
It was a lot like the RX bars, where you felt like it kind of got stuck in your teeth.
Oh, you know what? Like Built bars too, maybe? The Built bars?
I don't eat
tasted a
those.
Built bar.
You haven't even tried it?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a whole thing there because Built bars, they're very gluey. Some people hate them, some people don't. And
then we had issues with, in the packaging itself, if it was sitting in someone's mailbox and it got warm, releasing those oils. So it didn't hold all that in. We tried adding pea, protein, we just couldn't. So, it would kind of seep out. And if the oil is seeping out and then it's coming through we don't want you to.
That was the collagen bar.
It was oily.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
I see. Yeah.
it was kind of
No, that's good. It's good to know.
flavor, but the concept just didn't work.
So we got really lucky with our first two, and the third one was kind of a dud, but that happens.
Are you still experimenting with some things, even if you can't talk about them?
Well,
Always.
we can talk about it.
Okay.
Well,
I don't know what he's going to say.
The
I
ashwagandha.
have grand visions for this company being more than just a protein bar company.
Sure.
I don't think that there is a trusted protein supplier out there where I can go and feel good about what I'm buying in terms of all the different ways that we eat protein other than meat. Okay. So I make my own yogurt at home. I would love to have a protein yogurt that people can trust that has great ingredients. I'd love to have a protein powder that people can trust, even maybe a protein drink, and be like the trusted protein company. I don't think
I like where you're going.
I don't think that that doesn't exist in the marketplace at this point.
Yeah. What do you think of companies like Fairlife, who has the filtered milk? I'm thinking of a couple that people tend to find are cleaner-ish, right? Because they're mainly milk, but they have other stuff.
There are good companies in each silo, but there's no company that says we're covering all the protein sources.
The protein stuff,
We're going to be your trusted protein company.
Yeah, you're right. Because the companies like First Form, which I'm an affiliate for them, but honestly, a lot of their stuff has tons and tons of these ingredients, and they spend a lot of time trying to educate on protein and how it's filtered, but not really talking so much about all the other ingredients in there. So, cool. Yeah. No. What about a vegan option? And again, I eat meat, but I do have a lot of clients that are vegetarian, vegan, and they're always asking for that kind of stuff. So, like on the whey protein side, pea and rice is a great option. Are you?
We've had people ask for that. I'm just not sure that the vegan consumer is a large enough percentage of the entire population to make it worth it for us at this point. We still have 300 million plus non-vegans that we have to sell to and convince before we try to go after the vegan market. And that's not really where our expertise lies. So after having, the lack of success with the collagen bar, I'm probably a little hesitant to try something unusual again, not having any expertise in that area.
Hello, my name is Heather Klinger, and I am a client of Philip Pape's. On February 6th, just 6 days after I started this cut with my coach, my family and I were in a 7.9 magnitude earthquake here in Adana, Turkey, where we live. That day, as I tried to process the stress and trauma of what we had been through, I remembered that I had made a commitment to my coach that I would go to the gym that day. And my first instinct was, as I had done so many times in the past, to say, oh, you've been through something hard. This is not a good time. But instead, I reached out to my coach, and he got me under the bar that day, and he helped me keep my macros that day. And not only did I realize that I was doing something fantastic for my body, but I realized that I was doing something fantastic for my mind, and that it was going to help me keep the mental clarity that I was going to need to get my family through what really has been a very difficult 2 months, as we have moved apartments, as we have traveled to other countries. But here I am on the other side of 8 weeks. I tasted things in Greece. I got my kids, through all the things that we have been through, and I weigh 12 pounds less than I did, and I got a new PR on my bench press. I have a long way to go, and there are still things that I really want to accomplish, but now I know that I can, and I'm really grateful. Thank you, Philip.
So do you have a way that people get to you with feature requests or ingredient requests or new product requests? Is it just on your website?
Sometimes they'll just email us, and ask.
Email. We get a lot of Instagram messages, Facebook messages through our website. We have a chat bot on our website that comes straight to us. Even though it's a chat bot, we can answer. We answer chats pretty much almost feels like 24/7.
Yeah.
No, I can tell you guys have a feel of the direct to consumer. You care, you listen to people, you talk to people. And again, just for anybody watching the video, these notes are great. And I can't imagine how much time you put into them, but what was the genesis of this?
Well, years ago when we started the business, I said to Lori, even though we're selling protein bars, I believe that we're in the relationship business. So we have to treat this like we're building relationships, because really, ultimately, that's what we all do. You do it, we do it as audiologists and financial planners. That's what we do. So why not do it with a food or a protein bar? We're in the relationship business. So Lori started writing these handwritten notes, and it's just become like a signature deal for us. People always comment on the handwritten notes.
I just think it's really important for people that it is a relationship, and we want people to know that we appreciate that they're doing business with us. So I feel like if I can take the time, as long as I can, take the time to write the note. Like, I love writing the note that says, thanks for a second order, right? And I want people to know that we know they're getting a second order. I just think it's important.
Or thanks for your 20th order. Or we got an order today from someone, I think it was their 109th order.
Wow. What is that? Is that like a record, or who do you know?
That's a record, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, no, this one said, Philip, thanks again. Looking forward to the podcast. It was great. It was nice.
I think that
was
me.
That was you.
That was me.
That was Tony. If it's
I haven't learned to distinguish your handwriting.
Really scribbly, it's him.
Yeah. You could tell, you could see.
Man's handwriting.
Yeah.
All right. So, what are you excited about now going into the future?
Well, this idea of scaling, of becoming a bigger brand, of becoming the trusted protein provider. Again, I make my own yogurt at home. I love the idea of homemade yogurt, knowing exactly what's in it, which is, basically just one ingredient or two ingredients, milk and the protein bacteria, if you want to call it that. Just growing and becoming, we have I have a grand vision, right? It started as a mom and pop thing just so we can have something that we trusted. And I want it to be something that everyone can trust and something that everyone can feel good about. I think that in the supplement space, if you want to put us in the supplement space, I think if you ask people what's the first thing that comes to mind when you say supplements, they probably say, I don't really trust them. Right? I don't know what they are, what's in them. They're not regulated. They're not, I don't know where they're coming from. I want to be a trusted provider of good products for people. And again, having that relationship mindset as well. I think we can take this and turn it into a fairly large organization.
There's tremendous value in that. Is part of that strategy connecting with athletes or influencers or business owners or podcasters? I'm just curious.
Yeah, for sure. We've worked with athletes. We've worked with Olympic weightlifters.
Olympic rower.
We had an Olympic rower. People are reaching out to us all the time from now with NIL, right? A lot of college athletes are reaching out to us looking for products. NASCAR reached out to us recently. So there's a lot of opportunity to partner with different athletes, but we're pretty picky. We don't want just any athlete just for the name. If we're going to partner with someone, we want it to be someone who shares the same values as we do, and can help us grow the company rather than just piggybacking on what we do.
It's a fascinating industry. I don't envy you because I understand how hard it is, and it sounds like quite the hustle, but you're also doing what you can to really grow and make an impact. I don't know if you follow like Mike Matthews, right? He's the owner of Legion Athletics, massive supplement company. And he just ended his podcast after many years because his supplement company's finding success now after getting to $65 million of revenue. You know what I mean? Like it took that long before he said, okay, now I'm independent. And I'm not trying to make you guys put pressure on you guys. I just think it's a fascinating industry for sure. Very much like most of retail in the food industry, I imagine, when it comes to the competitiveness and the margins and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean,
We used to work with a food group where we were with a granola company, a yogurt company, a chocolate company, all different direct-to-consumer types of food companies, and all small startups. And they were all had the same issues. So it's the food industry, the supplement, the protein, they're very competitive, difficult businesses to survive in.
I feel like you guys should be in Whole Foods, but I'm sure you hear that a lot because that's a hard business to get into.
And again, it's what you said. So we're in the local, all the Caroluzzi's around here, Big Y, right?
Yeah, we have a handful of local markets that we service here in Western Connecticut. We decided not to expand that as much and really focus more on the direct-to-consumer through our website so we can just reach more people.
Yeah, the higher margins, more scale, yeah.
There's also the issue of we have a 9-month shelf life because it's natural ingredients. So if we try to do something like a Whole Foods, it's just constantly we'd be having to replace bars if they didn't sell out or whatever. And like you said, the margins and what they want and how much they want to pay for something. So
yeah. Someday.
It just doesn't
Sticking
work
to your values, though. That's important. Yeah. Sticking to the values. That's why we buy the product. So is there anything else as we wrap up that you wish I had asked that we didn't cover?
So from your perspective, as someone who eats the bars, who understands the ingredients, like how would you describe this to one of your clients? How would you describe the benefits of the ingredients, and not so much the taste of the bar, but the benefits of the ingredients?
Well, I do lead from the taste, though. I'm a big foodie.
People do have a good taste.
Yeah, I mean, most folks I work with or listen to the podcast, they have body composition goals, athletic goals, performance goals, and pretty much understand energy balance and macros, or they're learning about it. So I'm going to start there and say, you need protein supplementation, great bar for that. It has a balanced set of macros, great for that, but it also is a source of energy. As far as the ingredients, and it tastes great. That you guys can't discount that. Let me tell you. And then as far as ingredients, for sure, like I always struggle to find, I don't even use the word clean. I know you guys use it. That's just me. I just use like Whole Foods. Like I almost think of this as a Whole Foods bar, what I mean? Like a protein bar, energy bar. A lot of people are looking for that. And with 10, 20% of your diet made up of some sort of indulgences, you're probably going to spend your processed food budget on pizzas or donuts or something like that, right? So
we do eat a lot of pizza.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. So this fits squarely in this is nutrient dense. Right. It's delicious. It's got fiber, and it could actually fit in that side of the equation rather than be considered like processed food. So I think that's a differentiator for you guys for sure. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that was a good explanation, but that's what comes to mind.
Yeah, no, it's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we're so busy talking about the bar all the times ourselves. It's nice to hear what other people think about it, especially people in the industry, experts like you, like yourself.
Yeah, it's hard to find when people say, okay, I actually rely on clients and group members, people in the Facebook group to kind of tell me, what are you finding out there in the world that's what you consider clean or minimal? And usually it's fewer ingredients, right? And like
things you can pronounce.
Things you can pronounce. And
things you can find in your pantry.
Yeah. Right. It does it. Pretty much most people will find that it tastes good when it's like that. In other words, like a bar like this, unless you don't like an ingredient, you're going to find that it tastes good. Whereas you find that the bars with artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols and what, there's always some segment that say like something's off, tastes metallic, does something when I go to the bathroom. No thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, and again, I eat those bars. Other people do as well. We're not, I don't want you to say perfect because there's no such thing. We're not all eating 100% whole foods, but this is definitely a great option in my opinion.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
So and again, for the listeners, I invited them on. So this is not like an infomercial. They didn't pay, nothing like that. I'm paying them for the bars and there's no affiliate link, nothing like that. And I'm happy to do it. And I hope everyone looks you guys up and buys the bars. So what is the best way to do that?
Just check out our website, muscleupbars.com. It's, you know, really consumer friendly website. We have right on the front page, the home page. If you don't want to dig in, you know, to all the different pages behind, you can buy our 3-box pack, which is 2 boxes of peanut butter and 1 box of chocolate chip. You get 3 boxes. Or if you just want to try the bars, we also have what's called a Score 4, a 4-pack sampler. Right on the homepage, just hit the buy button. You don't have to dig through the website to find that. So if you want to try them, get the 4-pack. If you want to jump right in, there's a 3-pack. Well, 3 boxes, which is 36 bars.
Yep.
Right on the homepage. And, you know, we have blogs, we have nutritional information. If you want to check out our label, our nutritional label, it's in there on every product page. So all the information, we're very transparent. Everything's out there. A lot of times when you go to a protein bar webpage, which I do a lot to look for the ingredients, I can't find them. You really have to dig for them, right? Ours are right there. You know, read the label. It's there for you to read. And if you like what you see, give them a try. Philip believes they taste good. I think they taste good. And I think most people think they taste good.
I do also want to say that we do wholesale. So if anybody's listening and they have a gym or whatever, a small store, we do wholesale. So
we sell to gas, you know, we don't promote to the gas stations, but we have gas stations call us who want to sell our bars. Like we shipped bars out to a gas station in
New Jersey
and Arizona recently. Yeah, so we do wholesale and direct to consumer on our website.
Yeah, love it. I mean, yeah, like you said, there's a comparison table there. There's a whole blog, reviews, all of that stuff. Amazing. All right, muscleupbars.com. I'll throw it in there.
We also have Instagram, which we try to be better about doing, and we're putting some fun posts up on Instagram.
Yep, at muscleupbars.
Bars, you can find us there as well.
Cool. I'll put the links in the show notes. And thanks so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure to meet you guys in person again. I think again. And share your story and talk about this awesome food product that is going to help you make gains while sticking to good quality ingredients and enjoying a snack that really does taste great.
We appreciate you inviting us.
Thank you.
And I appreciate the opportunity to chat with your listeners.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate it.